So it's my great pleasure to be here today at the Right Here, Right Now Global Youth Climate Summit and to talk a little bit about the Oxford Smith School of Enterprise and Environment. Because we are a school within the broader University of Oxford that engages scholars from all the different disciplines across the university to discuss issues to do with climate change, with nature, and more generally, the environment in the context of policy making and also in the context of businesses and more broadly in societal impacts. We have 17 years of experience. We've been in the university for 17 years, and we are today a unit that engages about 120 scholars and a core team of 15 people who help us with everything to do with organizing and coordinating our work. And we are a research school that talks about and engages in research on water, on cooling, on the challenges to do with the food security in the world, to do with sustainable finance, sustainable law, and regenerative economies and energy, amongst a lot of other issues that we engage in to do with environment, nature, and climate. And well, I would say we are sort of based on three sort of say disciplines or disciplinary guidelines here in terms of we value, of course, that our research is international. That's the first I. The second I has to do with being interdisciplinary. And that means that each of our research programs hold experts from a variety of different disciplines. So if we are studying nature-based solutions, we will, of course, have biologists on our team, but we will also have people from history because we need to learn from the past. We will also invite our friends from anthropology to understand how First Nation people or indigenous people actually live in nature and with nature on a daily basis. We also will have economists because we want to understand the valuation of nature that is going on. And that is of importance for how we engage and take care of, protect, and even sort of supports our nature in the future. So it's a lot of different disciplines that will engage looking upon the same problem. And I think that's one of the very, very exciting things about the Smith School and what we do, that we actually have scholars who are willing to make that extra effort to talk with and work with scholars from other disciplines. And I cannot imagine a more sort of, you could say, more necessary take when we talk about climate and nature and the environment, that we actually need to have a lot of disciplines to help advance some of the challenges that the world faces today. We are the last I will focus upon out of the three, the first two being the interdisciplinarity and the international nature of our research, but the last of the three I's is about impact. So every scholar who comes to us come with an idea of changing the world and come with the idea of engaging actually with practitioners, whether these practitioners are from business, the corporate sector, or whether these practitioners are from the public sector in terms of policymakers, government officials, ministries, who also work, of course, with these problems and these challenges. And we also more and more engage with civil society, with NGOs in the world, and how we can help them and they can inspire our work for how we engage with practitioners to advance the impact that the world needs based on the research that we deliver. But it's not just about research and engagement in the Smith School at Oxford University. It is also about education. And I know that a lot of you have asked questions and raised some questions about how to engage youth, how to deliver the kind of education that the world needs, and how to deliver that education to, you could say, not just one age group, but actually across age groups, so we can talk about lifelong learning when it comes to climate and nature and the environment. And I want to say that for 4 years before I entered my current role here as a professor of business sustainability and the director of the Smith School, I was working for the United Nations with exactly education, and education particularly for students in universities. But of course, what we are also, and some of my colleagues in the Smith School take a strong interest in, is also students of a younger age and even of an older age, you could say. The younger age, about primary and secondary school. How do we engage these children, these youth, in understanding the complexity to do with nature and climate? We know from research that primary schools children, they're very engaged with nature. They love playing around with nature. They're curious about nature. But then when they enter secondary school, something happens. And something happens beyond the hormones are happening, of course, but there's also happening a kind of a, um, a less curiosity, we say, about nature. And also, if we look upon the curriculum, we see that nature is often delegated to that 1 hour in the week that is called biology. And biology is often taught. I remember my own biology lectures were, very sciencey, very technical, not very playful. And when these young children become youth and they enter the university as young adults, sometimes we see that nature is very, very far away from their lives and from how they think. And if they don't go and study nature or climate specifically, nature is something that we even see young people being afraid of because they don't engage a lot in nature. So there's a research interest in understanding how do we engage students across all ages to understand better the complexity of nature and climate in order for them to make the informed decisions and the kind of connectivity that is needed to understand nature and climate better. So that's something we do research in, but it's also something we do in practice. So at the Smith School, we have the Master of Science in Sustainability, Environment and Enterprise, and we have 30 students a year, but we have about 700 applicants from all around the world. So there's a lot of students who seek our course and who want to engage with us, and unfortunately we can't have all of them on our course. They seek us because we offer an interdisciplinary sustainability program. So what we've done on the side is another colleague of ours has engaged in a global youth training program, a summer scene, where more than 4,500 students have engaged globally in a program, an online program over 3 months to understand better climate from a technical perspective, climate from a governance perspective, climate from a kind of a business perspective as well. So just to say that education is something we take very seriously and that we engage in, that inspires us as educators as well. And that is a big part of the kind of impact and engagement that we are excited about to deliver here at the Smith School. So on that note, I just want to say thank you for listening and for taking the time. The Smith School is always open to engage and to hear more from you. So please take that as an invitation and come around the Smith School and have a talk with us if you feel like engaging more on climate, nature, and the environment. We'd be happy to have a chat with you. Thank you.